Thank you very much. And thank you again, Mr. Moni, Romana, for inviting me here. It's a privilege and very humbling to be speaking before all these amazing creative minds in front of me. And if you tell me that you're not creative, please leave the room. Sir Hendrik Fianzon, Mr. Jonathan, yeah, Dr. Joselita Arevalo, faculty and staff of Mint College, parents, esteemed guests, and of course to you, dear graduates, thank you. Good afternoon. It's very humbling to be here. Walang pera sa art. There's no money in art. This was the response that I was always faced with every time I would boldly declare that I was taking up Bachelor of Arts in film. Way back in 2006. Please, you don't need to do the math. Why are you wasting your brain on something so trivial, so artsy? There I was, an honor student, very articulate. I was on every organization imaginable. One day I would be giving speeches in an oratorical contest. The next month I'd be singing for Linggo ng Wika. Then you'd open the campus newsletter, and there my name was as editor-in-chief. That among 8 other things. Needless to say, this overachiever was a disappointment, was frowned upon because, and I quote, "Sayang yung talino mo. Ano na lang sasabihin ng parents mo? What a waste, what would your parents say?" To be honest, I never really thought about how to address this notion. I didn't even know where it came from. All I know is that that time, many people believed it. Thankfully, I didn't, because my parents didn't believe it either. 18 years ago, when people would discourage me that I was wasting my time, my parents' resources, my talents, my brain, for a course in mass communication, for some strange reason, I was never heard. Who? I didn't doubt anything. Sure, I was scared. Yes, there was uncertainty. But in my mind, don't all professionals have the kind of uncertainty that my path had? So why not pursue something that I was actually interested in? Walang pera sa art. Tell me honestly, raise your hands if until now you think there's some truth to this statement. And it's okay if you do. Wow, thank you. But 18 years later, I'm gonna tell you the exact same thing. Because it's true. Walang pera sa art if you don't know how to do business. It feels a little dirty to say that. Art is art, business is business. Why should I sacrifice my artistry, my creativity for something like that? Don't walk out. Because in the last 10 years that I've been a creative entrepreneur, I realized some pretty powerful things. And a lot of these lessons became even more amplified when I became an entrepreneur, a content creator, a business mentor to creatives, and of course, a mom. To organize my very ADHD thoughts, I'll summarize these insights in 4 key lessons. In 2010, fresh from getting my bachelor's degree in film, I started my career as a marketing officer for a small modeling school. Anything to provide the first paycheck. I wanted to be Miss Independent working girl earning a living wage of, drumroll please, 15,000 a month. It was a start, and I was hungry to learn. In my corporate career, I learned from 6 jobs, full-time and side hustles. And one would say, I cannot be stuck in a cubicle. This is hampering my creativity. But the truth? There was always something about my jobs that I learned to love. Take note, I didn't say that I loved all my jobs. I said that I would always find something in my jobs that I learned to love. And what was that? That was someone that I would be excited to learn from. It would be a colleague. It could be my boss or my bosses. It could be a client. It could be the lady that brought the suitcase full of homemade lunch meals and meriendas and would spend 10 to 15 minutes just talking to me about life. It could even be a post-production director who, 3 years later, would walk me down the aisle and do life with me on purpose. That's a story for another day. And that is lesson number 1. Never say no to opportunities to learn. Employment will not hamper your creativity. A part-time job will not take you away from your dreams. Alex Ramosi once asked in his video, "Do you think you'll earn $1 million working at McDonald's?" Most of us will say no, but he said yes. Why? Because you learn customer service. You learn the discipline of being on time. You learn the humility and character of serving people with joy. All these $1 million skills. Employment, internships, entry-level jobs are not an insult to your creativity. Cliche as it may seem, these are real stepping stones. Find pieces of learning that excite you and let those be the reasons why you would say yes to opportunities. Lesson number 1, make learning exciting. Now let's address another narrative. Art and business are mutually exclusive. Some of the artists that I've worked with have always believed this, but I can't let business stain my creativity. It makes my art dirty. I want my art to be purely expression, not fueled by money. But the thing is, art being fueled by money is not the same as art being fueled by the pure desire for money. Let me explain. Let's understand 2 things. Art is the heart of your business. It's the result of the convergence of your skill, your experience, and your creative insight. But to make your art sustainable, shareable, and scalable, you need to embrace, understand, and master the business side. Without art, your business lacks soul. Without business, your art lacks sustainability. The belief that art and business cannot coexist is a myth that has long stifled creative potential. And if you're familiar with Elizabeth Gilbert, the author of Big Magic, Creative Living Beyond Fear, she said that creativity and commerce are not adversaries, but allies. She advocates embracing the practicalities of business to protect and promote your creative work. And according to her, managing the business side of art allows artists to continue creating without the constant stress of financial instability. In addition, Stephen Pressfield, in his book, The War of Art, discusses the importance of professionalism in the creative process. He argues that treating your art as a business doesn't diminish its value. Rather, it elevates it. Professionalism in art means showing up consistently, instilling self-discipline, and understanding the market. All crucial business practices that ensure your art reaches and resonates a wider audience. And what about the creativity? Creativity is the bridge that spans the gap between art and business. It's like having 2 distinct cities, one vibrant and full of art, full of color, the other structured and bustling with activity, business. Without a bridge, these 2 lands remain isolated, each missing out on the richness that each of the lands has to offer. Creativity then is not limited when we choose to learn and master business. In fact, entrepreneurship is the extension of creativity. And as the connecting bridge, creativity allows ideas, inspiration, and strategies to flow freely between the two. And this connection not only embraces the beauty and impact of art, but also brings innovation, empathy, and uniqueness to business practices. And that is lesson number 2. Integrate art and business and witness your creativity break through more ceilings than you can imagine. Third, I really thought I reached a certain milestone in my creative career because of the support that I had from my parents. Now, don't get me wrong, having support is huge. It's a huge deal. And when we talk of support, we're not limiting ourselves to financial support. We also talk about emotional, mental, spiritual, intellectual support. I had that. I was blessed enough to be surrounded with that growing up. And usually, people would say, sana all. If only everyone had that growing up. There are those who have some resentment towards their parents, their families, or their immediate environment because they didn't seemingly have the same level of support that I did. In the Philippines, we often hear, walang pera sa art, because as human beings, we gravitate towards the path of least resistance, the path most traveled, and the path with the least risk. And why? Because our brains are wired that way. We make decisions based on past experience, social influence, and other forms of social proof. Our brain is not capable of processing future results if we don't have data from past experience. And it's the same with getting support. For those who genuinely want to support our endeavors, most of the time, they make decisions not because of the lack of desire to support us. It's mostly because of 2 things. They are not aware of the possibilities of the path, or they're aware but are unfamiliar with navigating the path. In the end, it's really that, the unfamiliarity of steps and outcomes. Because when we take a look at being doctors, lawyers, nurses, the outcome in the path is more familiar. And because of the many success stories about these other fields, we have something called survivorship bias. We're basing our possible outcomes on the stories of how other people survived or had success, but we also don't know the stories of the people who failed. But the truth is, every path has equal chances for success and equal chances for failure. The only common thing among every single path is uncertainty. You want to know a secret? I've lost millions in my entrepreneurial pursuits. In fact, I'm in a season in my business right now where I'm restarting because I started a venture last year that blew up in smoke. It was so bad, it almost brought us to square one after 10 years in business. But under the same breath, I opened doors to more opportunities. Opportunities I never would have considered, never would have been strong enough for, and never would have dreamed to grab if I never developed the character, humility, and strength that I had to learn from probably the hardest challenge we ever encountered as entrepreneurs. A very public failure and 7 figures in loss. And that's real talk. That's the reality of business, of art, of creativity, of growth. That, dear students, is creative entrepreneurship. You will go through seasons that will bring out the best in you, and you will go through seasons where you feel like you just want to put your tools down and walk away. And you would have been tempted to say, tama sila. They were right. But look at these seasons for what they are. Seasons. Which brings me to lesson number 3, navigate uncertainty with a sense of purpose. 4 magic words that apply when it comes to both success and failure. This too shall pass. Seth Godin, in his book, The Practice, Shipping Creative Work, says this: embrace a pattern that offers no guarantees. Our art is the act of doing something that might not work simply because it's a generous thing to do. When it comes to the uncertainty of any path, think about something beyond your own personal goals that will make you stay on the path and keep going. Because when it comes to building a life that you love, whether that's through the convergence of art and business, or maybe you'll discover something else along the way, it will always come down to a sense of purpose. And contrary to popular belief, you don't spend years finding your purpose. Because a sense of purpose is always going to come from serving others. Don't find your purpose, be purposeful. Don't find your passion, be passionate. And don't find meaning, be curious. Being passionate will always be your fuel to consistently grow and improve in your craft. Being curious will open your senses to possibilities beyond what we all currently know. And being purposeful means you're doing all these not just for your own personal gratification, but more so for the good of those you serve. As an artist, your expression echoes the life experience of others. People are feeling seen through your eyes. And as an entrepreneur, you're able to help those who resonate with your expression by creating solutions, services, and masterpieces that reach more of them at scale for a very long time. Which now brings me to my final point. I was blessed to have a supportive environment because my family was aware of the effects of pursuing a path that we love. And because they knew this, they always guided me and mentored me when I pursued a creative career. They didn't spoon feed me on what I should do or what I should pursue. They gave me options so I can have an informed choice and I can take accountability when things didn't go as well as I hoped. Like last year. And while they educated me about taking and managing risks, they've always given me a safe space to make mistakes. Not everyone has the same mindset and exposure, and it's most often through no fault of their own. Some people don't have the room to fail big because it sacrifices food on the table. Others have more opportunities to fail because the risk to them is not losing their home or their livelihood, and our genuine loved ones, meaning those who really look out for our well-being, have this in mind. This is where most of them operate. And when people keep saying they just want the best for you, they do, at least in the way that they know. This is why, as you pursue your dreams, fuel your art, and build your empires, it is also important for you to do lesson number 4. Teach the future generation. Create spaces where people feel safe sharing about their dreams. Create accessible learning resources that people can act on so that they can navigate through the space of their dreams. Share your experiences, share your insights, share your resources, and help where you can. Generate more awareness about present opportunities in the creative space so that people will be more familiar with the creative path in pursuit. And maybe, in doing so, we can begin to normalize support in the creative spaces. The available resources we have now have helped democratize creative pursuits, which means anyone in this room and out there have equal chances for success. People say that AI is the future. Web3 is here. But for me, the best way to future-proof your endeavors is to transfer your knowledge. Share your principles. The fruit of your creativities will be your legacy in this world. Embrace your art and share it using business. Learn everything you can in the pursuit and then teach what you know and what you've done. So, the 4 M, make learning fun. I, integrate art and business. N, navigate uncertainty with a sense of purpose. And T, teach the future generation. madali nang ano yan madali nang i-remember yan It's all embedded in your education. I'd like to end this with 3 words that I always tell my students and my audience when I sign off. Be brave, create. Congratulations, Mint graduates. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kia Abrera, for that truly enlightening and inspiring speech and that wonderful anagram that we will never forget. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we pause for a brief musical interlude where it is my privilege